It's never too early to talk about prospects. Let's do exactly that on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Saturday, April 5th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and let's start with the 5 prospects you should be stashing right now. Roman Anthony of the Red Sox, Zac Veen of the Rockies, Zebby Matthews of the Twins, Dalton Rushing with the Dodgers, and Nick Kurtz with the Athletics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you should be stashing them, just to clarify, because I don't know that outside of Roman Anthony there's any prospect that's must stash. But if you want to stash a prospect, these would be the best to do. I see you stroking your mustache there. Yeah, Roman Anthony's off to a fine start. I don't really think he has much left to prove in the minors. In his time at AAA last year, he hit 344 with as many walks as strikeouts. That was in 35 games. And it's just a question of how soon can a spot open for him. Wilyer Abreu's hot start, I think, eliminates the easiest path for Roman Anthony getting to the majors. But there's so much versatility in that Red Sox lineup that I think just about anyone could go down and clear a spot for him. Trevor Story, he said he's been healthy. He's been hurt a lot more than he's healthy in recent years. And if he gets hurt, maybe say Don Rafaela moves back to the infield, opening a spot for Anthony. So best prospect in baseball who doesn't have a job in the majors yet. And I think the top prospect to stash. Zac Veen off to a good start at AAA. Picked up where he left off this spring, where I think most of us felt like he earned a job in the Rockies outfield. And they went with Nick Martini, a 34-year-old journeyman, over him. So I think that's clearly a short-term arrangement. And if Veen stays healthy, which has long been an issue for him, and continues doing what he's doing, we'll see him pretty soon. Zebby Matthews, same thing. Looked good this spring, but the Twins prioritized pitchers who had a little bit more major league experience, even if the upside wasn't quite the same. Zebby Matthews still boasting an extra couple miles per hour on his fastball in his AAA debut for this year, and has elite control. Time in the minors last year, Zebby Matthews, 7 walks in 97 innings. So that extra velocity, there's a lot to like even before that. Dalton Rushing, I mentioned this on the full-length podcast Friday, that he's gotten some time at first base already this year. And the Dodgers look like they might need some help at first base. Freddie Freeman currently on the IL with the ankle flare-up. I don't think it's going to be a long stay for him, but the ankle injury is carrying over from last year, and it looks like he may need some maintenance from time to time. If Rushing could carve out a role as a Freeman fill-in and a backup catcher and maybe an occasional outfielder, that might be enough to earn him a spot in the majors. He's been an OPS hog in the minors and really doesn't have much left to prove there offensively. And finally, Nick Kurtz, already as of this recording, I don't know, maybe it's more now, already 3 home runs in his first 5 games at AAA. This was after he got 12 games in the minors period last year, 4th pick in the draft, 12 games in the minors, already at AAA and already killing it. It seems like another Wyatt Langford situation for Nick Kurtz, where he's already so developed as a hitting prospect that there's just no holding him back. The problem is there's not a clear place to play him, especially since the Athletics have yet to try Brent Rooker in the outfield this year. They said they would, but it's been all DH for him. Tyler Soderstrom off to a good start at first base. There was some talk this spring that Kurtz himself could get a look in the outfield, but so far that hasn't happened. I think until we see Rooker play some outfield or Kurtz play some outfield at AAA, we can presume the promotion isn't imminent, but I don't think it's going to be long with the way Kurtz has started out.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
She knows, and I know she knows.
Welcome back in FBT Express. We just broke down 5 prospects that you could stash if you want to. What about 5 other prospects who are making noise early on in the season? Kyle Teal with the White Sox, Jacob Misiorowski with the Brewers, Colson Montgomery, with the White Sox, Luinder Avila of the Royals, and Tim Tawa of the D-backs. Scott, what's going on with this group?
Well, 3 of those names you've probably heard of, and then 2 maybe not. I will note that all of these are players at AAA because by the time you're listening to this, the other levels will have just started playing. So there was no data available for them yet. Kyle Teal homered in the first 2 games in his first 2 games in the White Sox system. And he's the sort of catcher prospect who's just made it look easy ever since he was drafted. Of course, came over from the Red Sox in the Garrett Crochet trade this offseason. And I don't think he's going to be long in the minors. Just he's already good at everything. And maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling ever, but the competence, I think, is going to earn him a spot on the White Sox very soon. Jacob Misiorowski has always had control problems, but great stuff. There's been some talk that maybe he's worn out his welcome as a starter, but have you looked at the Brewers' rotation in the majors? It is in dire straits. I don't think they can afford to move Misiorowski to the bullpen. And in his first start of the season, he threw 66% of his pitches for strikes. Just one start, but that is the direction Misiorowski needs to trend with the control, so we'll keep an eye on that. Colson Montgomery, terrible last year. The strikeout rate spiked. He got a lot of the benefit of the doubt because of a strong finish, still ranked on all the top 100 lists. Through his first 20 at-bats at AAA this year, Colson Montgomery had 15 strikeouts.
Oof.
Yeah. So I don't know how much longer he can do that and still get the benefit of the doubt. Definitely not the start we wanted to see from Colson Montgomery. Luinder Avila for the Royals, not a particularly high-end prospect, but he had 11 strikeouts in his first start, and he did that by spamming his curveball. Best pitch 40% of the time. Sometimes one weird trick, that one weird trick is enough to take kind of a nothing pitching prospect and turn him into something that ends up succeeding in the majors. So we'll see if Luinder Avila can keep that going for more than just one start. And finally, Tim Tawa, guy who can play every position but catcher and pitcher, 26 years old, but hit 31 homers, had 14 steals in the minors last year. He's doing much of the same so far at AAA this year. Not a lot of raw power, but good at elevating to his pull side and maximizing his power output that way. I don't think Tim Tawa is going to be a big deal in fantasy, but because he's so versatile, I could see him getting a chance and maybe surprising at some point this season.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.